Hi everyone. I just got out of the shower, so my hair is wet, but I wanted to talk about this thing that I just heard Josh, who's the CEO of Etsy, talk about, which is Q score. Now, Q score apparently is some kind of an internal measurement that they're using to rate the quality of our shops and our service. It's like the seller has a quality score and the shops have a quality score and the listings have a quality score. And we've known that for a long time. But this is the first time that I've heard him refer to a specific Q score. Okay. Now, this came from a tech conference that they just presented in a couple days ago, and I was listening to it as I was out walking. I came home, took a shower, and now I'm doing this. And it does kind of explain one thing that we were talking about today, which is why do they say that Star Seller doesn't affect your search ranking, but everything that goes into Star Seller does. And it's kind of a little confusing, but I think this Q score thing kind of explains it. And I will put the link to the conference in the description of this because it was worth listening to. There was a lot of stuff in there that was kind of interesting. It's good to listen to Etsy's, like the admin's perspective, because it explains a lot about why they do certain things, whether we agree with them or not. It does explain kind of their thought process. So Josh mentioned this as this massive change in search that's been going on for a while as they get this Q score kind of quality, focus on quality kind of worked into the search ranking algorithm. I don't think it's that big a change. I think that they go to tech conferences and they kind of exaggerate things to make it sound important. But we know that quality scores have factored into how you place in search for a long time. It's not just, this is not a new thing. It could be that they're now kind of dialing that up a little bit because they do want the best listings to kind of float to the top of search. And this Q score sounds like some kind of an internal rating that they're using that goes with your shop or with your listings. He did not explain what it is. He didn't explain what goes into it, but it was about, like the things that are showing up on our dashboard, do this faster, blah, blah, blah. The suggestions that they're giving us are all related to this mysterious Q score. Now, I know that there are other platforms that use a specific score that's kind of attached to your shop or your website. Google does that. But Etsy has never specifically mentioned that. And like I said, it does explain the question about the Star Seller affecting ranking. So we know that for Star Seller, you have to ship things on time. You have to have good customer service. You have to have good sales. There's a revenue part of it. You have to answer questions within 24 hours, that whole thing. All of that is part of the seller quality rating. So we know that that's been part of ranking for a long time. But at the same time, they're saying that being a Star Seller doesn't affect your search placement. Okay, now that doesn't really make sense because if the things that affect your quality score make you a Star Seller, then why doesn't that affect your search ranking? Well, I think that what happens is that you can be a Star Seller, but then if something happens that drops your Q score, your quality score, and that could be anything because, like I said, they have not said what goes into this, but we know that if you have a case opened against your shop, that has a bad effect. If you get a bad review, that has a bad effect. So all of those things could happen during a month that you have Star Seller. Okay, so let's say that I get Star Seller this month. That's great. Now here comes somebody who files a case against my shop. That's not good, and that could drop my Q score while my Star Seller badge is still there. Okay. Next comes somebody who, let's say I ship something late. That could drop my Q score even though I still have Star Seller. So on one hand, it looks like I have Star Seller, and that's fantastic for nothing really. But I mean, it's good for customers to see that. But it doesn't affect my search ranking because as I have the Star Seller sitting there for the month, my Q score is dropping behind the scenes. So if I start shipping things late, I don't answer convos, I don't answer messages, I'm getting claims against my shop, I get bad reviews. All of that is dropping the Q score behind the scenes while Star Seller is still sitting there. Now, at the end of the month, Star Seller might go away, but it's not related. It's kind of related at the end of the month to the quality rating, but you can have Star Seller and still have your Q score drop based on my assumption that the things that go into the Q score are things that matter, like just customer service and that kind of thing. So what I would say is, unless they tell us more about this Q score and what goes into that, I think we have to assume that the things that are going into that are the things that they're showing us in the little dashboard where it says, change. The things that they're telling me are really trivial, like change the size of your photos. I'm not going to do that. That's like a listing quality thing that I personally am not too concerned about. I think as far as the quality of your shop and your customer service and your listings go, there's probably things that are more important than others. Logically speaking, I would say that the size of the photo or the fact that there's a collage there, which there aren't, like it's calling things collages, which are not collages. I would say that those are probably pretty low down on the list of importance. Whereas things like shipping things on time and answering messages quickly, those are pretty high on the list. So my assumption is that when they're talking about the quality of your shop and your Q score, there are things that are more important than others. And if the only messages that you're getting on your dashboard are things like your pictures might be a little too small, then I think you're doing okay. All right. And honestly, I have not seen any ill effects from having pictures that are too small, and the messages on my dashboard keep changing, so I think they're kind of working out the kinks with that. But yeah, so there is this thing called Q score that they may or may not ever explain to us what goes into it, but it's not new. This is not something that's brand new. This is something that has been going on in the background for quite some time, and we know that listing quality and seller quality and shop quality have had a factor in your ranking for a while, but they're really looking at it now. So just make sure that if you're getting messages like answer your messages on time, send things out on time, those are important, and those will affect your search ranking a lot. But you have to basically just do your job. If you're doing your job when you're running a business, you're not going to have problems with that. But I did want to bring it up because it's the first time I've heard him mention something like a quantitative name for this thing. So they have a Q score, okay? I'll put the link to the conference below. And he did talk about this right during the first 10 minutes. So it was a little bit, it was intriguing. It was intriguing, but nothing earth shattering. He made it sound bigger than it is. It's not that new. They're always tweaking search, so whatever. Give this video a thumbs up and I will talk to you later.